fellow brewers, and welcome to another episode of Homebrew Wild and Cheap. So, as you know, if you've been keeping up with some of my videos, I made a sweet mead, which I actually got around to bottling today, mainly because I could show the comparison and can't really do it in a big demijohn. So, this is the sweet mead that we made a couple of months ago now, and it's very nice. You know, it's sweet. So if you like a sweet mead, you can check out that video. I also made, a month ago, I made a part caramel burnt mead, and it turned out a lot better than I thought. It was 1/3 burnt and then 2/3 just regular set honey, and considering the price of the honey and what we did to it, it turned out very nice. As you can see, the colour difference. So what I'm going to be doing today is a full burnt mead, and that is just for fairness, because we've got this cheap honey. It's just little zone, it's 125 a pot, so 375 gets you enough to make 1 gallon at about 11-12%. And considering, you know, usually mead is very expensive if you go out and buy the best honey, so we want to see the processes so we can make the best mead that we can using the least amount of money. So I've got these 3 jars of set honey, and set honey is the best honey to use. It contains the most sugars per quota, and it's just better to work with. From everything I've read and the experience that I've had from making the 2 previous ones. So in my last one, the set honey was very set, so I've got it in a bath of warm water just to aid it to get out into the pan. So the things that we're going to need to make this mead is your demijohn, which this is a 5-litre water container, which I've got sterilising, and the sterilising video is up there. And I've got my funnel, which I was sterilising in another bucket. If you saw my previous video of me losing it, it happens. We've got a litre of hot water, and this is going to be for when the mead gets to the colour that we want. I'm going to add this in and it's going to stop burning. Yeast nutrient. Now, we're going to need yeast nutrient because in the first video I didn't use any, and that turned out sweet. Because, funny enough, we strained the yeast so it could only ferment to about 8-9%. This one is a full one, so it's dry, and it's really nice. And, of course, we're going to be using universal wine yeast. Now, this is because it's the easiest one to use, just full stop. It's the most temperature, you know, it's comfortable in fermenting low temperatures relatively without using a heating belt. If you have a heating belt, you can use different types of yeast. Burgundy yeast, which is very good actually. You could use that and see how it comes out. It should give a more flavour of the honey and everything. Or if you want something sweet and you don't want to back sweeten it, you can use a cider yeast, which will only ferment up into about 9.5-ish. That's my experience using everything, including the yeast nutrient, when I was doing ciders. So it's just something to bear witness to. Just something to think about if you want to use different yeasts. So what we're going to do is, now this is nice and warm and it's relatively pliable. I'm going to take this yeast and I'm going to put it in my pan once I get it open. Hopefully this is going to be a lot easier. Turn it upside down for a minute. So I got myself, everything has been sterilised, apart from the pan because that's going to be boiled. But the side has been sterilised, all the tools that we're using has been sterilised, and our demijohn is being sterilised. It's better to be over, you know, sterilise everything over the top than to have a failure, because that would suck. So I'm just going to throw in all of this honey, which is coming out very easily. I like this quite a lot. Right, so I've pretty much emptied all of the 3 jars. I can go around with a bit of water and just add the last bits in, just because I can. And there's a bit on the spoon. Honey is good. And it's not bad honey. I mean, it's better than value honey. But it's nothing to shout about. It's just nice. Cheap, clear honey, set honey. And now we've got 3 jars of honey, which is approximately, it's just under 1.5 kilos of honey, because these are 454 grams a jar. Yeah, they are. Check that. So now the burning process. So we're just going to stick it on, let it do its thing, which is going to take, you know, a little bit. So, la 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 la. Right. So the honey has just come up to the boil, as you can tell, and it starts, funny enough, frothing and foaming everywhere. So you have to sort of adjust your heat, which is better to use a gas hob, hence why I use it, because it's a more instant change in heat. Otherwise this would be everywhere right now. If not, if you've got an electric one, just take it off, let it cool down slightly, then put it back on. Slightly longer, but it will do. And now, basically, we just stir it so we try and get an even burn going all the way through. So it's been left on for another 5 minutes. As you can tell, it's now started to, fun enough, bubble and rise up. But you can tell the colour of the honey has changed quite considerably. It's a lot darker, like the honeycomb that you buy. So I think, ooh, and it's getting a mild burning flavour, because I don't want to do black, because I think that would be a bit too burnt for my taste. So it's got a light burning smell, as you would, of burning sugar. It's malty. It smells really good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop it there. I'm taking it off the heat. And just to make sure that we don't get too much, I'm going to add in a blob of water. And stand way back. And I lost the spoon. But as you can tell, that's what happens when you add in water. And this is hot water, so bubble, 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 stand well back. So I managed to fish the spoon out, yay for me, and it's cooled down relatively enough now. It's still pretty damn warm though, so I can mix in the water, which was hot. So just think what happened if you added in cold water. I mean, it flared up and went all over the side with quite nice honey, to be fair. It tastes really good. Strong, slight burning taste. Just as it should be, I suppose. So, if you can, the thing is, I've been adding in the hot water. This is cold water, but I've been adding in hot water when it gets to the colour that I think it needs to be. Now, if you've done this recipe a few times, you'll know, the few minutes before it's done. So you can just turn the heat off and let it cool down naturally. I don't, because this is the first time that I've actually done a full burn mead. So, just warning you, hot sugar burns. So be very, very careful. Only use boiling water or very, very hot water if you're going to do it my way. And be very, very careful and stand well back, because that could easily cause an injury. So safety warning. This is quite nice actually. It's a good golden colour. It's a very deep golden colour. And I finished sterilising the demijohn while I was out the way. And just make sure that all this is in. And now I've got a litre of cold water, which I will add in quite liberally since it's cooled down enough. And this is just to cool it down so we can add it into the demijohn. And we've got the honey, which was left in these jars, and I don't want to waste it. So in it goes, and it was hot water, so just to wash out the jars. 2 for 1. Good for the recycling, good for you. In it goes, and in it goes. So, still pretty warm. There we go. I'm going to add in 1 more litre of cold water, and then we should be able to put this into the demijohn. Awesome. Lovely, another litre of cold water. So if you noticed, I put 3 litres of cold water in because the sugar is going to displace a bit of that liquid, so it'll be more. And you've gone to all the trouble to burn yourself, / me and yourself. So you might as well make sure you get it all in, apart from the stuff that's on the side everywhere. But it is very nice. It is actually very nice honey now. So this should be, and it is, hot, but not too hot. So we won't melt the plastic demijohn now. I can actually lift it with my hands. And now we're just going to pour it in. So far so good. It's quite a nice dark colour. So we've still got a little bit of honey left in here, so this should be about a litre. So I'm going to get a litre of my water, put it in here, swirl it around, trying to get as much of this honey that nearly scalded me, so into there because I want it. Is quite a nice colour, if I do say so myself. So I got my smells good, so it can't be that bad. So I've got my yeast nutrient. Before we shake it up and see what percentage it is, I'm going to add in the nutrients and get in there. 2 teaspoons of yeast nutrient, and that's going to make sure that the yeast has plenty of nutrients to completely ferment this dry. So there's 1 teaspoon. Here it goes. And there's 2 teaspoons. Mix nice and evenly. So hopefully this won't froth too much, though it's got a band of sort of bubbles for me, hopefully. So we've got our lovely hydrometer. So let us see what this says. I'm quite interested to see the difference. Even though we've used the same honey, which is averaged out, it's the same stuff, it's to within a few mil of being the same as the last ones, but it says here that the percentage is 13.5%. So it says, basically it says 14, but 13.5%. So that's pretty high as far as everything goes, so I'll move that out of the way. So now what we're just going to do is, because it's lovely, going to add in our universal wine yeast, and it's just a sprinkle. We've got plenty of nutrients in there. We've got the sugars, hopefully we've got the lovely flavours. So just, yeah, why not? So just a nice little sprinkle. I did get asked a question, how much of this do I put in? Per gallon you can, well, the recommended dose per gallon is 1/5 of this, because this makes 25 litres officially. But because yeast propagates, if you have the right conditions, it will be a bit sluggish for the first 24 to 48 hours, but you can just add in a small pinch and it will do, apart from the small delay, you can do up to 100 litres plus with just this one 25 litre batch. So this is nice and cool to the touch, so hopefully this is good. So I'm going to label this off camera, but this is going to be a rather interesting experiment to see what the difference is between using the same honey and just burning it and not burning it. So this is a full burn, so hopefully a full flavoured mead. So thanks for watching, guys, and it's been fun. So I'll catch you later.